Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Penfield Zoning Board of Appeals. This meeting is being video recorded and is being broadcast live on the Town of Penfield's website, which is penfield.org. Also on the Town of Penfield's Government Access Channel 1303, and on streaming media devices Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Search Penfield TV in your device's app store because it is free. If you'd like to address the board on any public matter, there will be a specific public participation opportunities for each matter after the board responds to the applicant's presentation with its own questions and concerns. Anyone that is viewing the public hearing remotely and wishes to address the board can participate by calling in at 585-340-8771 or by submitting something electronically at that website, penfield.org. Tonight's meeting is going to have two parts to it. The first part is going to be our work session where we take care of routine recurring matters. And the second part will be our public hearings where we'll address new applications tonight. We'll go right from one into the other unless somebody needs a break for some reason, but usually we can just move it along. Each and every month we like to say that we think the town does a good job of getting the word out about applications so that citizens are fully informed of their right to come in and speak about them. And now we even have the ability for folks to do that remotely. The town does this in a number of ways. One is by sending out postcards to folks that live within a certain number of feet of the subject property, by having the applicant post a sign out on the property so when you're driving by you can take notice of that and make a phone call if you wish to inquire, and by posting the agenda online and also hard copy here at the town hall. We welcome the comments because we think it helps us frame the issue and or issues and do our job better. We really appreciate that. Tonight we only have a couple or three applications, so we should move it along quickly. What we've been doing the last few meetings is when the applicant comes up, we'll ask that person to give us name and address, and anyone that cares to speak about the application to do the same thing. And then board members have been leading the applicants through the presentation only because we have very thorough written applications that have been submitted and distributed to the board members, and each board member's had a chance to review those. And it just makes things move a little quicker and a little more smoothly in our experience. That doesn't mean that people aren't given the chance to speak their minds. They're certainly allowed to do that, and again, we welcome that. Before we go to the Pledge of Allegiance, I would just like to say that tonight is one of our members' last meetings. That's Mari Cinti on the far end. I'm sure the camera will pan over to her. Starting at 7, which, by the way, wife said. Okay, you're getting there. There we go. Why don't you wave for the camera, Marie? There she is. So Marie's been here, is it 5 years? I saw that. It's been that long. Wow. Well, time flies when you're having fun, but anyone's going to be able to chime in, but I just personally want to thank you for your hard work, your dedication, your friendship, and your ability to be able to speak to an issue and do it in a professional, cordial manner with your fellow board members, the applicant, and staff. I've never seen you get cross or bent out of shape on any of these applications, but it's also at the same time you've demonstrated clearly that you have a deep concern for the town, for the applicant, for the neighbors, and a compassion about what you do here and what you will be doing. So certainly wish you the best of luck in the future with the town. And thank you for everything you've done for us, Marie.
Thank you so
Anyone
much.
else want to chime in? And
I'll second that motion.
Yeah, you said that quite well.
Yeah.
I just want to thank everyone for
Well, Marie wrote it.
That was well delivered. But thank you for the opportunity to be here. I really submitted the letter with mixed emotions. Like I said, I just have really enjoyed this board. I think it's one of the best ones out there, and just really appreciate everyone's support. Thank you.
Okay, well, you're still invited to the Christmas party, the holiday party. For sure.
Okay, because I wasn't going to leave without that.
Yeah, okay, great. So, yes, thank you. Andres has always reminded me. It's really good. Let's all rise and engage in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Thanks, everybody, for your patience. We have some minutes from the last meeting that have been distributed. May I have a motion on those?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Nobody opposed? Okay. We don't have any tabled applications to discuss. So does anybody have a question for clarification purposes on any of the applications pending tonight? Let's start with number 1. Anybody have anything to clarify on that? Okay, how about number 2? No. Number 3? Okay. All right, everybody good to go?
Yep.
Yes.
Let's launch into the public hearings then, please. Andy, if we could have the first one?
Sure. Carolyn Schlageter, 2 Highland Drive, Penfield, New York, 14526. Requests an area variance under Section 250-14.3 of the code to allow an addition with less setback than required under Section 250-5.1-F1 of the code at 2 Highland Drive. The property is currently or formerly owned by Carolyn Schlageter and is zoned R-1-15, SBL number 139.05-1-17. This is application number 21Z-0054.
Okay, applicant, if you can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So we just want to verify your name and address for the record, and then I think Andres will walk you through your application.
Sure. Carolyn Schlageter at 2 Highland Drive, Penfield, 14526. I've been here since 2002.
Okay, great.
Thank you. So we're looking through your application, very, very thorough. You covered a lot of points that we normally talk about in terms of, information and those kind of pieces. So I'll kind of jump into some parts here. From what I see here, you're looking to put an addition off the front of your garage. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And the garage addition will total 160 square feet?
16 by 10, yes.
Yep, perfect. And it looks like, from what I see here, everything's going to match the existing home. So in a sense, the siding would carry through, the roofing color, all those things would match with what's going on with the current home?
Actually, also with the same company, American Custom, and I don't know the timing of everything, if they're going to be doing everything simultaneously, but I also have contracted them to re-side the house as well.
Perfect. So it'll all look
So
brand new.
yes, it will all match because it'll all be brand new.
Excellent. Thank you. And looking at your application, it looks like you considered an alternative option to put an addition on the back as well at some point.
I did.
Can you just talk to why that isn't feasible compared to going forward?
Basically, the expense. The quote that I received was upwards of $75,000 or more. And that, just looking at, to add the 160 to, I think that one was actually 180 additional square feet to a house that has a value of $170,000 just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Perfect.
The end result would have been what I'm looking for, but it just didn't, financially, it didn't seem feasible.
Okay, perfect. And the addition to the front, that quote I think I saw in there, it's about $30,000 compared to the $75,000 plus for the back. So it's much more cost prohibitive. It'll allow you to move forward with that easier than it would be off the back, which may not necessarily increase your home value by $75,000+.
Correct.
Perfect.
Correct. So the addition will hold an upstairs laundry and a full bathroom.
Okay.
So it'll give me a second bathroom in the house. But most importantly is the upstairs laundry.
Okay. And I saw you included in your application some letters of support from neighbors. Looks like there were 3 of them. Is that correct?
Yes, I spoke to the neighbors on either side of me and the neighbor directly across the street from me.
Okay, so those are the ones that would be most affected by this variance if it were granted.
Correct.
Perfect. And then were you able to identify any issues that may come up from extending the garage forward, in terms of, anything that dealt with the environment or area around you?
I can't think of any.
Okay. And then I also saw that you included some photos of neighboring homes where the garage extends forward of your existing home. So I think you included 4 photos of neighboring homes that show that this would be in character with your neighborhood as well.
Right. A couple of them were on Gebhardt, all within walking distance. And the other was, I think, on Cobbles.
Cobbles Drive, correct, yep. And I think that is all I have right now.
Okay, before I ask other board members if they have questions or open it up to anybody here in person, I'll just remind folks participating virtually that they can call 340-8771 to phone in a comment or question, and also do so electronically at penfield.org. Currently, I see no phone calls, and I see no electronic submissions. So, I think I stretched it a little bit there. Does any other board member have a question about this?
I just had a quick one, Dan.
Sure.
I was wondering if there's any other houses in the immediate vicinity that are this far forward or close to it? In other words, site-wise,
There are no sidewalks on Highland. And to my knowledge, there aren't any. They're pretty much all in a line.
okay. Okay,
On this side of the street, anyway.
right.
Yeah, Andy, can you, is it you that pulled that up?
Yes.
Can you sort of blow that up a little bit, or?
Let me see here.
Looks like you have one
Yeah.
on the bottom that's closer.
I got to pull up our GIS map here.
By the way, I would echo Andres's comments about being a very thorough application. Provided a lot of good detail.
So there is the property to Highland Drive, right here, and you can see the rest of the neighborhood there.
Okay.
All right.
Well, from this view, it looks, yeah. I think you're right, Mike. The one right below is.
Yeah, it looks like it's
Looks
out
a little bit
another at
closer,
least,
yeah.
at
Yeah.
least 5 feet, looks
Yeah.
like.
Okay. Once again, no comments electronically. None on the phone. Any other questions from board members?
No.
Anyone in the audience care to address this? Okay. Well, then let's move to the environmental seeker issue.
Okay, I have this as a type 2 action, and that's requiring no further review under seeker.
Second.
All right. So we have a seeker motion, type 2 by Andres, a second by Marie. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Now on to the merits.
On the merits, I am going to move to approve this application for the variance. I couldn't find any undesirable change. The applicant actually did a thorough job in showing us other examples of what was in the neighborhood that I thought were, useful to show that this wouldn't, look out of place, and it would stay within character. While she did have another option to put it towards the back, in a sense, it was almost double the price or more than double the price than it would be to move something out from the front of the home. And, so I took that as it's, yes, there are, but it's fairly cost prohibitive. Is it substantial? Not really. It's about 1% of the entire property. I equate this is about the size of a shed you would put in your backyard. So it's not really a big area that we're talking about here. And we weren't able to find any adverse impacts to the environment as well.
Yeah, and the other thing I was going to say is there's other areas where zoning allows 40 feet of a front setback, so it's not that much out of line with a lot of other places.
Yeah, thank you. Good point.
Right. All right, any other comments? So we have a motion to approve. Did we get a second?
I think Marie was going to second everything tonight.
I did second.
Okay, so
But you can do it
Andres'
now.
motion to approve, Marie second.
Sure.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No? Okay, unanimous. Good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate the time and respectfully sign off, I guess.
Okay, have a good
evening.
night.
Thank you very much.
Number 2.
Joe Stafari, 1100 Jefferson Road, Rochester, New York, 14623. Requests approval for a conditional use under Section 250-13.3 and Section 250-5.7-C1A of the code to allow the operation of a restaurant, Joe's Brooklyn Pizza, at 1766 Empire Boulevard. The property is currently formally owned by Ranchik Corporation and is zoned general business. SBL number 093.15-1-54. This is application number 21Z-0055.
Okay, if you can give us your name and address?
Richard Dale, 6922 Rush Lima Road, Mendon, New York.
Okay.
Great, so thank you for coming this evening. And I noticed that you're going to take the space in Sunrise Plaza, correct?
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Oh, that your store, you plan for the store to be going into the Sunrise Plaza? was it?
Yes, Sunrise Plaza where Empire Pizza once occupied.
So I would imagine if you're just taking over the space of an existing pizza restaurant, that you wouldn't have very many changes going on in the inside.
No, all we did was paint it and we installed installing a sneeze guard that the county requires.
Oh, okay,
And we brought it into compliance with the county health department.
okay. So it was approved then?
No, the sneeze guard has to be in place, so we expect that to be in sometime next week.
Okay, great.
We did have the fire marshal out, and he did go through the facility, and he did request, and we did provide a 10-year carbon monoxide device with a mercury battery. So, and we sent him a picture of it.
Thank you so
We
much.
did submit a signed request at the time, but it was pending the outcome of this meeting.
Okay. Are there any changes to the exterior of the building? I know
No,
you're
there will not be.
Okay. Any outdoor seating or anything like that?
Maybe next year, but not this year.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about your hours of operation and how many people
I'd be
you
more
would
than
be
happy
employing?
to. Yeah, we're open 7 days a week. Sunday, we're open 12 to 8. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're open 11 to 8. On Friday and Saturday, we're open 11 to 9.
And how many employees do you think you'll have there at any one time?
We expect to have 10 employees.
At the same time?
No,
No. How many at any one
on a
time?
shift. Probably 3 to 4, depending on the day. On Friday, you would have 5 to 6. On a Tuesday, you would have 3.
Okay. And then how about parking? Do you feel like there's adequate parking at the plaza?
I'm not in a position to say that, answer that. I would think if there was a pizza shop before us and it went before the town, it must have met some requirement.
So you don't see any difference?
No, I don't
You
see any, but we will do
need for
more
extra
volume,
parking?
I can assure you. We have 3 other stores in the market.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've built a brand since 1989.
Great, thank
And
you.
we make a pizza that we don't think you have here, a thin crust Brooklyn pizza,
Folded in half to eat.
That's
folded
right.
in half,
You must be from New York, Mike.
like a paisan, yes. You fold it and eat it.
That's how my husband eats his pizza. So,
right.
We will be a good citizen. We'll support local endeavors, sport teams, and we're anxious to get started in this town.
oh, and when do you expect to open?
As soon as the Board of Health, do we require an inspection by the town? We made no physical changes,
Just the fire marshal.
in which we did.
Right.
So once the health department gives us the okay, which we're, as soon as the sneeze guard is in, we'll look to have an expedited review, and I'm hoping that we could be open within 10 days.
Wow, that's wonderful.
The store is clean, it's painted, it's ready. We're putting our interior signs up on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. If any of you are in the area, you're more than welcome to stop in and take a look at the location. We'll be there for about an hour or so. And with your permission, can we put the exterior sign? It's just a sliding in a panel. It's nothing more than that.
Does that go in the
We did submit an
monument sign?
application. We did pay our $15 and
Okay, I guess I can't comment on that, maybe Andy?
Yeah, we have to actually issue the sign permit.
what?
We have to issue the sign permit.
okay.
I think we have the application, but like you said, it's pending the approval of the board here, and
Pending the approval, if it's a positive outcome, is that something I could pick up tomorrow?
yep, if we get approved tonight, we can process the sign permit and you can pick it up tomorrow.
So we'd be looking to put that up Saturday, if we can.
Well, we'll do
You
our
know, the
best.
end of the month is a busy time for us in pizza, Halloween, and
Oh,
it's like Christmas to us, that holiday. So.
Really?
Well, I can certainly understand.
And
wanting
kids
to
are
get it-
staying more home, having more parties closer to home. So, and we have some great advertising planned to pull more traffic and foot traffic into that area.
So with that, it sounds like you want to get going on things. So with that, I'm done with questions, and I'm not sure if you have any.
well, I will remind the public if they would like to call 340-8771 or submit a comment electronically at penfield.org. A couple of things. I live not far from there at all, so we've gone and had pizza from Empire Pizza many times. Never had an issue with the parking. Now, I know you're gonna, you hope to do a big, even if double, triple, I don't see, the only time that plaza with that parking is really crowded that I've seen consistently is Sundays and Saturday morning's breakfast for the breakfast place there. So the parking won't be an issue.
Yeah, may I call you Daniel? Daniel?
Call me, sure, you can call me Daniel.
There's one aspect to the business that our business at Empire Pizza did not take advantage of or didn't utilize, and that is we use Grubhub, DoorDash, all the third party.
I'm not even sure if they delivered, to be honest with you. I
And
never,
so
if
we
they didn't use
we
it.
could have cars coming in and out during peak periods, but
Yeah.
that restaurant is closed in the evening, so
Right.
it makes
Right.
it.
And you're probably not open Saturday and Sunday mornings, so.
We are at 11.
Yeah, people are done with breakfast by 11 and maybe a little bit of lunch, but it won't be a problem. I don't see it as being a problem. And honestly, I kind of like the guys that ran Empire Pizza. I thought they worked hard and they were friendly, but stuff happens. So any other comments or questions or thought?
I take it no outdoor seating, you're not using those umbrellas, are you? With the-
And the Safiri family are from
That's
Brooklyn.
right, okay, good. Yeah.
And they opened up, their brothers, they opened up Pizza Stop, and the Midtown Plaza was one of the locations that we
Wow.
So,
Pizza Stop on
Well-
State Street, that one?
Yeah.
And then they had it out here. That's, wow, when I worked downtown, lines outside the door. Good.
Quick question for Andy. He's saying no outdoor seating right now, so if they would like to have outdoor seating next year, do they need to ask permission for that?
They do.
Okay.
It'd be nice if we could address that now.
Oh,
for the
okay.
future, if it's possible.
Sure. So to Andy's point, how many tables would you foresee next year that you'd like to have outside?
Probably those, just, we're thinking 2 picnic tables, one on each side, and we're thinking about an awning, similar to the awning that's in that center now on the very end. So
Okay.
we'll submit plans for that through our architect, Peter Morris.
That awning? Okay. All right. But,
Yeah, there it is, right there.
yep.
We think that would kind of look cool in Italian colors, and it'll say pizza.
Okay. Andy, do they need to come back for that then? I would think so.
That would just be a building permit.
Okay. All right. So,
Did they have a permit for that?
I hope so.
so basically, what we can do is we'll write this so that you have the ability to have 2 picnic tables there, should you decide you want to do that. And then if you do decide that you want an awning, that would be something you would go to Andy for in the building department. Okay?
Yep.
Just want to make a condition, if they're doing the picnic tables, that they obviously have to leave enough space for pedestrians to get.
Right.
So they have to be a reasonable size, given the width that's there.
Yeah.
Right? You can't exceed the width of your building, and you have to leave.
We would submit plans, and you guys would review it.
Yep.
We're not interested in encroaching space anywhere, and
I think so.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay, great.
Anything else?
No.
All right, I don't see any call-ins or electronics, so let's go ahead with the environmental first.
Sure. I'd like to make a motion. This is a type 2 action pursuant to seeker requiring no further review.
Second.
All right, Marie's made a seeker motion, and Mike has second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And now the merits?
On the merits of the application, I'd also like to make a motion to grant a conditional use permit. I think that because this is sort of easy, because you're just swapping out Empire Pizza for Joe's Brooklyn Pizza, I don't see any kind of adverse impact to the neighborhood. I don't see any issues with traffic, and Dan certainly spoke to the parking. It's certainly keeping in within character of the neighborhood, one pizza place for the other, and no undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood. So I think that this should be approved, and I wish you good luck.
hey, thanks.
But wait, we have to vote.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion to approve by Marie for the reasons stated, a second by Matt. Any further discussion? All right.
No, and I would just like to mention that we did discuss outdoor seating, and if you do want to place an awning, that is where you'd have to go back to Andy in the building department.
Thank you.
Okay,
We will.
great.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay.
Good luck.
Good luck. All right, third application.
Kirk Wright, Sign and Lighting Services, P.O. Box 597, Ontario, New York, 14519. On behalf of Chipotle Mexican Grill, requests a determination by the Zoning Board of Appeals under Section 250-15.5 of the code that new evidence conditions relating to a previously denied application have been significantly changed to an extent that warrants further consideration, and provided that the board determines further consideration is warranted, the applicant requests approval for a special use permit for signage under Section 250-10.3-A of the code to allow a third building-mounted sign, whereas a maximum of 1 building-mounted sign is allowed under Section 250-10.13-C of the code at 1838 Empire Boulevard. The property is currently or formerly owned by Lord Stanley New York LLC and is zoned general business. SBL number 093.15-1-58. This is application number 21Z-0056.
Okay, thanks, Andy. Okay, can you give us your name and address, please?
Good evening, Kirk Wright, Sign and Lighting Services, 530 Route 104, Ontario, New York.
Okay, and you can hear us clearly? You're okay with that?
Yeah,
All right, I'm going to ask you to speak up a little bit or get a little closer to your mic because that was a little low there. The first thing that I'd like to say here is we have two issues to address tonight. The board does. Andy just sort of stated it by reading the public notice, but let me just reiterate, and then I'm going to ask Pete to comment on something as well, our counsel. So the first issue is you were just here last month asking for a certain number of signs on your building, and that application was denied. You've asked for the opportunity to come back tonight with a new application, which is your right, but before we consider the merits of the new application, we have to decide that it is substantially different than the one that we just denied last month. And the reason for that is we have a rule that you cannot come back in with the same or a similar application until a period of 1 year has passed. Is that correct?
That's right.
And the reason for that is obvious. If people had the right to come in every month and ask for the same thing, the meeting would never end. So in any event, now I realize that the issues of comparing last month with this month sort of would overlap, but I do ask you to start with your presentation with that first issue. Why is what you're asking for tonight significantly different from what we heard last month, such that the board should entertain the merits of the new application? And then, Pete, I just ask you to let us know or reiterate to the board what is the question that this board should be considering for that first part.
Sure. You want me to talk about that first?
Sure.
So you're right. Generally speaking, when you have an application that's been denied, unless it's denied without prejudice, you can't come in again for a year. So if that first question is answered, that it's not significantly different enough, then they could come back a year from the prior denial. But what they're looking to do is they're looking to come back earlier for a relook at a different application. It's different from a rehearing. I know Dan and I talked about that before. This is really a new application. What they're saying is, this is different. I want to come in less than a year. So the first question you have to answer is whether or not there's either new evidence submitted or that the conditions have significantly changed to an extent that further consideration is warranted. So that's the first question you have to ask, is whether or not there is either new evidence or conditions have significantly changed. And I think part of that could be the conditions changing would be a new application that's, is significantly different from the prior application. So that's the first question that you have to answer before you proceed to decide whether or not to grant on the merits.
Okay. So thank you for that. I think what we'll do then is we'll hear the applicant out, and then we'll take the first question up after we've made sure that the public has an opportunity to chime in as well. So why don't you go ahead and address that first issue? How is your new application, how does it differ from the first one? And why is that difference significant enough that we should entertain it?
the size of the sign is significantly smaller than the one that was first proposed. If you could, I can only see the old one, I can't see the new one. But I believe it was the board's request, we did make that sign smaller to identify the door, the entrance to the store itself.
Yeah, well, I'll jump in there, and I think it was more my request, to be honest with you, than the board's. And, well, in any event, we're here. So, okay, the new proposed sign has less square footage than the one from last month. I'm sorry you're not able to see the two, but I'm trying to piece them together myself as well. Total less square footage, and it also looks to be different.
This is Dan Radman with Chipotle, if I could jump in.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Kirk is correct. We did reduce the sign size. The original application had it at 38 square feet for total area of the sign on that elevation. We reduced it in half, effectively, down to 19.6 square feet, and used a different sign format that is part of our branding package, which is a medallion sign, slightly more discreet and smaller. As you can see, comparing the two, all of the text is obviously smaller. It's a smaller sign, but we wanted it proportional to the fascia of the building and located over the entrance door, which is the main entrance to the building. And that's purely, we're not looking to have it visible. The concern isn't visibility from the street, because the two previous signs that were approved, one that faces Empire Boulevard and the other one that faces Craig Street, those will obviously do the job of identifying our building to patrons that might be driving by on either one of those roads. But this third sign is purely a identifier for the front door and locating it on that front elevation, which is the south elevation.
Is that what you just said in terms of the purpose for this sign? Was that the purpose of the original Chipotle sign on that side?
It did. The purpose of the original sign was to identify it as a front elevation, but less so front door centric. It was more just to maintain the same size format as the other two signs and keep it consistent on that elevation. But based on the board's comments from the last meeting and the request to reduce and possibly relocate the sign, we felt that going down to the smaller medallion sign over the door was the best solution for that elevation.
Okay. I don't want to cut you short, but I just jotted down three things that I thought I heard you say why this is different. Smaller, significantly different, smaller sign, different location for the sign, and a somewhat different purpose for this sign. This is less
Correct.
to call attention to the restaurant from drivers by and more to identify the entrance.
Correct.
All right, anything else?
No, that pretty much sums it up.
Okay. I don't see any. I'll remind the public, if they want to comment on this particular issue, 340-8771 or penfield.org. Any questions from board members on this issue?
No, to me, this is a significantly different application. And I'm thinking about the McDonald's application last year.
Yeah, one of the things we did is staff was able to provide us with some instances of when we've encountered this issue before, and we've had a couple similar instances where they involve signs. So whether or not they're similar enough that we can rely on that precedence is a question for the board, but we did do some work on this in the month. Anything else?
Yes, I got something.
Go ahead, Mike.
I mean, this is a month ago, so it's still relatively fresh in my mind and probably the rest of the board's mind.
Yeah.
And as I recall, the thrust of the original application was to get 3 building-mounted signs when one was allowed. And it seemed to me we were pretty clear that we didn't think that that location required 3 signs. We've given it on in certain situations where there was less visibility. This is pretty open-ended. And I knew personally I didn't think they had to locate where the front door is. It's kind of obvious from just the whole way the building's structured. So that's one thing. I think it's still 3 signs. And, you know, 2 were allowed, now they come back and tried to get the 3rd one. The other thing is, from a precedent point of view, you can allow just about anybody to come back and reduce their original application. So people could try for the largest sign they can get, and if it doesn't work, come back and just cut it in half and try that. If they started with 3 times the sign they wanted, they could do that twice. I mean,
Yeah, that's a valid argument. I get it. Okay. Any other comments on their other arguments? Smaller, which you just addressed, different location, doesn't matter to you if I'm hearing you correctly, because there's not really a need for it anyway. And then the different purpose is really the same thing, front door versus calling the attention, so.
and it clearly wasn't as important as the other two, where the other 2 signs were located, because they had the opportunity
Right.
to determine that.
Okay.
I say the way I looked at this one, the original one, it looked more like it was the same as what was on the sides of the building. It was to catch your eye from the road, which in my mind there was no use, because you couldn't really see that space from the road the same way. You already saw it, you see it from either side. Where this now is kind of above the door saying this is where you walk in. So I do see that as an aspect of, like, it has changed its purpose, or, the way they designed it now.
I mean, to me, it's almost like a directional, because it's pointing out an entrance.
Okay, I don't want to shortchange it.
I'm
Okay, so let's call the question. Do we have to do seeker on the first
Just going to say
question?
that I think you should do seeker first. You do, because it's a new application.
Yeah, okay, so on the first question, I'll make a motion under seeker to declare this. Last month, I think it was a type 2 action.
The seeker question is
Unlisted.
really for the global, for the whole application. So
All right.
you just deal with seeker one time, and it's going to cover the whole, what we would call the action, so.
Okay, then under seeker, I'll make a motion to declare this an unlisted action and further to declare a negative declaration.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on seeker? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and now on the merits of the first issue, that is this application significantly different? I'm going to make, for discussion purposes, I'm going to make a motion to answer that question in the affirmative. If I don't get a second, I don't get a second, but that's,
I'll second it.
okay. So discussion on this, is it significantly, is it enough of a difference that we should vote on the merits of it? I think Mike's already said no, Marie's already said yes.
I'm more along with Mike. It's just smaller, and the same precedent can
Yep,
come about. So I don't disagree with what Mike said.
okay. Andres, if you want, you don't have to make any comment. I can simply call a question, and I'm fine with that.
I think my comment's it's still relative to what I was saying before in terms of, I think I look at the sign, I feel like the purpose of it's changed enough, where before it was, in a sense, it was a building, I looked at more of like a decorative, facade on the side, just like the other 2 signs, and this seems like it has more of a, it's been repositioned to a far corner of it, and it more marks where you walk in, where it says the purpose of that has changed, is at least what I see for that one, but.
I will tell you, I recall when we talked about that sign in that location, the original one, they said the reason they wanted it there was to identify the door.
I recall that because we asked that they could just put stickers in the door, and they said no, they like to
Or
keep
the
the
windows.
doors.
Yeah, I
windows
brought
as
that
well.
up to them, too.
Yep, yep. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so then I've made a motion to answer that question in the affirmative, and I think Marie seconded it. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed?
Here.
Okay. So, any other questions from the board on the merits of the application, or have we covered that? Yeah?
Yeah, we
Okay, let me just make sure we don't have any information coming in via the phone. Nope. Or the website? Also no. Okay. Anybody want to make a motion on this?
I think you're the lead, Dan.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. Again, first I'll say this is a close one. So it was the first issue. And I don't think there's any unreasonable decision here. So, Having said that, I'll make a motion to approve the second application. And await a second. If it happens, it happens.
I'll second it.
Okay. My motion for approval would be based upon the fact that that side of the building without some sort of marking on it, I don't think it would look very attractive. I do think there is somewhat of a valid reason to call attention to the entrance. Could they do that in other ways? Sure. This sign, we've given them 2 signs, which, and then they have the freestanding, let's not forget that. But this is a different sign, and I think it's actually has some aesthetic qualities to it. So those are my best arguments to support my motion to approve. I don't know if anybody has any additions to that or not.
I mean, I don't really have that much to add. I just feel that this is a very unusual piece where this business is located, and I can see where there would need to be some sort of signage marking the entrance. The effort to reduce the amount of that sign is appreciated. Again, that's just, and I feel like we kind of did this for McDonald's, which was in a more visible location.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've done it for more than McDonald's in this area too.
Yeah.
We did it for,
Because of the way the traffic is flowing, et cetera.
yeah, but there's the other, I'm trying to think of what the other chain restaurant is.
Chili's?
Chili's, we did
That
something
didn't
very
work
similar.
out too well for them, but okay. All right, actually, you know, I have to say, before I call for a vote here, if everyone is done, sir, you're in the room, and I didn't open it up to any comments in the room. Do you wish to comment on this? Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay. Any other comments? All right, so I've made a motion to approve. Marie seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
Here.
Okay. All right, so you got an approval on both issues, 3-2, so you could see how close that was, and I really meant it when I said I don't think any side here was unreasonable. So, good luck.
Thank you.
All right,
Really
that was
appreciate
I think, the last application. So, unless there's any other business, I think we'll stand adjourned. Thanks again, Marie, for everything.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.